Okay, Tess, it's good to
Okay.
go.
All right, great. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our first the Cycle Commuter Task Force Lunch and Learn, the first one of the 2026 season. If you're not familiar with the Cycle Commuter Task Force, it is a collaborative effort between Bicycle Garage Indy, Central Indiana Cycling, Certa Commuter Connect. Um, and the point of it is really just to get people excited about riding and provide an educational series for you all. So welcome. And I'm happy to introduce Tony Cherolis, which is the Executive Director of Central Indiana Cycling. And he will be here, and he is here talking about cold weather riding. So I will hand it off to you, Tony.
All right. Tess, you can hear me fine?
I can.
All right, great. And the screen share is up, confirming before I start.
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent. And welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break. This is a timely topic, and I've got decades of experience with it. I started year-round commuting in, I think, 2004. I was year-round commuting before that in Florida, but that doesn't count because it was always warm. So my year-round commuting with Northeast winter weather started in 2004 when I had a 4 mile bike commute back and forth between my house and Pratt& Whitney, which I was working with as an engineer at the time, and just needed a way to stay active through the winter, and was already a bike rider. And I kind of, at that point in my life, had transitioned into also being a bike commuter, and trying to figure out how to make that work through the winters in the Northeast. So have lots of snow and ice experience. We get a little bit of that here, but when we do, it's exciting. So I've got the chat window open up on my other screen. So if you have questions throughout this presentation, feel free to drop it into the chat and I'll address it there, or raise your hand and I can call on you I like to hear voices too. Otherwise, you just get to hear me talk for the entire time. So feel free to pop in with questions as we go, and I'll stop at the end and take more questions. So thank you all for joining. And again, my name is Tony Cherolis. I'm the Executive Director of Central Indiana Cycling. The last time I gave this presentation, I was not in this role. So the presentation is similar to last year's, but I did put a couple little updates in there and announcements of upcoming rides. And we'll get right into it. This is just a silly story. At one point, I felt so confident in my winter riding that I decided to plan a 3-week winter bike tour in December from Hartford, Connecticut to Cleveland, Ohio, and I didn't die. But I don't think I would recommend that to anyone. It was doable, but it was a lot more work than a spring, summer, or fall bike tour. Winter bike touring is a whole other set of things that you have to carry, and conditions that you have to be prepared for, and the days are very short. So I did it. If you want to hear funny stories about it, hit me up later over coffee or beer. But that was me testing out my winter riding capabilities, and not failing entirely. Um, so I've got a couple of topics that I'll touch on as we go. One of them is, what do I wear generally? Like, what do I wear on my person when I'm commuting in the winter? And if it's 40, 50 degrees out, you might just be wearing a jacket and your normal bike commuting clothes, which can change depending on how far you're commuting, and what you're doing at the end of your commute. So a lot of folks that with short commutes just wear their, human everyday work clothes and throw on a jacket and put on some gloves, right? But if it gets colder, you just add layers. And the important thing is that your body temp changes as you go. So having layers with zippers or layers that you can vent or remove is helpful as you warm up or cool down. You can zip something back up or grab a windbreaker out of your bag and put that over a layer. If you underdressed accidentally, you always can put something more on. It is nice, as a bike commuter to have bags on your bike. I'm more of a bag on a bike person than a backpack person, just because it's nice to get the weight off of you, and your body breathes better from a sweat perspective when you don't have a backpack on. So having a trunk rack or a pannier or two panniers where you've got your work clothes or extra layers, um, or a couple of hand warmers, that it's nice to have a bag somewhere to carry those extra layers when you take them off or need to put something on. And I do recommend for winter weather, like if you bike in the morning and it's warm and you're biking home and it might be colder, just to have, an extra windbreaker, an extra base layer, or some rain pants tucked into your bag as an extra so that you're able to respond to changing weather. So, and it's all about layers. Um, feet. So feet and hands are the things that folks most complain about, right? And have the most trouble keeping warm. When you're thinking about feet, you're when you're walking, you often don't get cold feet because the mechanics of walking physically pumps blood through your feet, like that, the stride and how your leg works through the walking stride and your feet striking the ground is part of your blood pump system for your circulation in your feet. That mechanics of walking that pumps your blood through your feet, it doesn't exist when you're riding a bike. So that's why we get colder feet when we're riding bikes. We get more wind on them, and we're not doing the things that walking does to get the blood flow through your feet. So you have to do more. So cozy feet, the worst thing you can do in the winter if you have cold feet is use metal pedals and clipless shoes that have metal clips into those metal pedals, because that metal plate is touching the bottom of your foot, and it is an extremely effective heat exchanger, and it's exactly how you freeze your toes. When I get a bike ready or plan for winter riding, I'll go to flat pedals for the winter and use, boots or winter boots. And flat pedals and winter boots is so much warmer than metal, any type of plastic or metal clipless pedal. There are winter capable boots with extra insulation, and they have additional insulation between the clip in the bottom of the boot and your pedal. They're very expensive for the good winter ones. They do work, but they still don't work as well as winter boots on like polycarbonate or plastic platform pedals. There are wind covers and toe covers. Those also help if you're kind of in the 40 high 30 or 30s 40s temp, to just put a wind cover over your existing shoe. But still, I want to say flat pedals with boots is your warmest option. And the important thing to remember is don't cut off circulation by putting too many socks on and then jamming your foot into the pedal. If you don't have any circulation, even if you have insulation, your feet are still going to get cold. You still need to have a little room to wiggle, and you don't want your feet squeezed into a boot or a cycling shoe. Adding more socks doesn't necessarily make your foot warmer. We'll talk more later about technological ways to keep your feet warmer with artificial heat. There are those toe warmers you can tuck in. But all of those things, adding extra socks, adding toe warming packets, those require usually a size larger shoe. So if you are buying winter cycling boots, or you're buying a boot that you're going to wear with flat pedals, you might want to get it a size up so that you have room for that second pair of socks or the toe warmers without constricting your foot and circulation. Hands are the other thing that people sometimes struggle with. I find that in winter riding, my hands start off cold, but then they warm up pretty quickly as my core temperature goes up. So having some options, having a lighter pair weight of gloves in your bag and starting out with a heavier pair when you're starting the ride, having a bag to stuff your extra lightweight gloves into can be helpful. So there are different types of winter gloves. This is a lobster mitt on the left. The one next to it is kind of a snowboarding or skiing mitten. That's actually my go-to is a heavy mitten and with a lightweight liner glove underneath it, so that if I need to pull off the mitten, I can still, use my phone or do other dexterity things without taking off all of my gloves at once. The bar mitts they have different names, but the handlebar covers that you just kind of tuck your hands into are great for insulation. I've got several winter riding friends that prefer that over gloves. They'll use these and then they'll have relatively lightweight gloves that just get tucked into the bar mitts, which are, designed for different kinds of handlebars, flat or drop bars. And there are specializations in these bar mitts and handlebar covers that take into account where the cables go on your bike. So bike shops will help you pick out the right one. And any questions so far? I did layers, feet, and hands. And I don't see any questions yet in the chat. I don't see any hands raised yet. If you're able to in the chat, just add some thoughts on why you're interested in winter riding, or if you have any general winter riding questions, so I can make sure to address them as I go. So why are you interested in winter riding? What's your experience level? Do you have any questions that you're hoping that I cover today? So if you can do that in the chat, that'll give me other things to touch on. So moving up, we did feet, we did hands, we're going to do head and face next. So there are different levels of how much insulation you use. First level is that thin hat you can see in the left side picture, that thin hat that'll fit underneath a helmet. Usually a helmet has a little bit of room, but not a whole lot. So you're not going to fit a big bulky hat under your helmet unless you size up and get a winter helmet that is a size larger. There are balaclavas that are more of a face mask and neck covering. Those are relatively thin and can fit under your helmet. You can increase your insulation by adding a helmet cover. That's the second picture there is an elastic helmet cover that goes over the helmet. That turns your very vented helmet into a non-vented helmet. So it creates an air barrier there. So that is an additional head warmth option. I mean, the ultimate winter biking helmet is actually a ski or a snowboard helmet, because they are made to work with ski and snowboarding goggles, and they have built-in ear covers. In Connecticut, I don't really use any of this here because for me it doesn't get cold enough. But my sister actually has this helmet on the bottom right side that is an integrated goggles and visor and integrated earmuffs. And she looks like a robot when she rides her bike to work. So a thin hood on like a hoodie sweatshirt can be tucked up under your helmet. And I see a question about tires. We're going to get to tires, thanks. That one I'll catch. So wearing glasses or goggles can be really helpful. One of the challenges if you're using a face mask that's like covering your nose or mouth and also doing goggles is fogging. So some glasses are better at that than others. So ski goggles and snowboarding goggles are usually vented and coated to prevent fogging. So some of those are better at if you do wear a mask that covers your nose. If you're venting breath upwards, you can have sometimes a challenge with fogging. So Fortunately, I have this built-in face mask, so I don't generally wear a mask that comes up over my nose, but many people do. So there are different ways to handle that from fogging. Usually it's glasses that are anti-fog is your best bet for winter. And when you're getting into tires and brakes. For winter, generally wider tires than summer road tires, right? You're not going to be riding your 700 by 23 or 25 slick road tires in the winter. That's just a bad decision all around. So you're going to be looking for more tread. There are specific studded winter tires. I have a bike setup with that I use for those days. They're kind of noisy and slow. But they're that I consider that a fitness benefit for the winter because I'm putting in less miles. So the miles that I am putting in are harder to pedal. Studded tires, they have integrated metal studs. This is actually a picture of a bike with studded tires on it. These little guys here are carbide studs that are part of the tire tread. They're not directly in the center. They're offset to the side, and they strike the most when you stop and the tire compresses a little bit, or if you're leaning into a turn, that's when they're grabbing the ground. And they have all different sizes of this tire. So this is like a 700 by 35, which is a standard hybrid tire width and size, but they do have 26-inch wheel tires. They have mountain bike tires with even more studs. And you can go all the way up to like a fat bike, which is, 4-inch wide tires with low tire pressure and studs. But I don't see a lot of folks riding fat bikes around here. That's like a Minneapolis or a Madison, Wisconsin thing when they have months and months of snow-covered trails and roads. If you're from a flat perspective, don't carry patches. Don't do patches in the winter. If you do any sort of flat fix on the road, it's going to be a spare tube. Patches and the glue with patches just does not work at freezing temperatures. Don't bother trying to patch something. If you've got a tube that got a pinhole leak in it, patch it when you get home if you are a person that patches tubes. But spare tubes is a better path for fixing a flat. The nice thing about winter tires, like these studded tires, is they have a super thick casing. Not much gets through it because they have to be strong and sturdy enough to handle those metal studs without it poking into your tube. So they're a flat resistant tire to begin with. Disc brakes are going to be more predictable than rim brakes. Rim brakes can get water splashed on them and refreeze. Disc brakes are further away from the road. They tend to get less of that spray. But regardless, rim or disc brakes, just test your brakes periodically while you're riding to make sure they're working, make sure they're not iced up, and just to clean off that braking surface. And one way of keeping everything cleaner is to have fenders. There's so much slop in the winter, so much gritty dust. Pete, you've got a question in there about, can you get away with just the front tire studs? The front tire is the most important one for you to have studs on, just from the least pleasant crashes are when your front tire goes out. But if you're going to invest in studded tires, invest in two. It is not something to cheap out on, and it will help most if you only have the funds to get one studded tire to do the front. It'll help a little, but it is not going to solve it. Your back end is going to be all over the place on any sort of turn on ice. So you're best off doing two studded tires if you're going to do studs. So that's my recommendation. Having tried that, trying to get away with just one studded tire. They are more expensive than standard tires, but they will last multiple seasons. So I'm on a pair of studded tires right now, and I think they're probably 7 years old. I just put them on in the winter and I run them, only on icy, snowy days. So they're very sturdy tires. And the other pro tip for tires and tires specifically is just setting up a winter beater bike. That bike in the winter can have grippier tires. It could be your studded tire bike if you've got studded tires. And it's a bike that you care less about salt damage because those are the days that you're going to have the nasty, cruddy roads that are just covered in salt, and salt destroys pretty much every bike material. The aluminum is a robust material, does not rust per se, but when aluminum oxide, which is the protective layer on aluminum, gets exposed to salt, that aluminum oxide layer disappears, and the salt rapidly accelerates corrosion on aluminum wheels, which are the most common material for wheels. And wheels are right down there in the grit and slush. So winter riding is extremely hard on components, especially when you're out there in the salty slush, and even just the salt dust that ends up spending a lot of time on the road and getting kicked up and deposited on your bike in the winter. So having a beater bike that you care less about, that's a sturdier bike that can be set up with fenders and some winter tires, is going to be a good way to preserve your nice bike for a longer period of time without it getting all the wear and tear and corrosion from salt. So I hope I hit the tire questions there. There are, if you're not going full studded, there are grippier, softer compound winter tires. I know Continental makes some winter tire compounds. Those tires are helpful, but yes, N+1 came up as a comment. N+1 means you can always get another bike. There's always room for one more. So having a bike that's for cruddy weather and winter riding, that bike could be your rest of your season rainy weather bike. If it's got fenders, you can just swap out tires for the non-snowy weather, and that can be your rainy day bike. The be visible is my next topic. Winter, your motor vehicles and your drivers, they're contending with frosted windows. They may not have even scraped more than a little view window. There's falling snow, there's flat light, slippery conditions and short days, so you're more likely to be out there outside of daylight hours. So in the winter, and cold weather riding, it's extremely important to be extra visible with your lights, bright clothing, and reflective gear. More lights is better. Oftentimes I'll run 2 rear lights and 2 front lights. And one of my front lights will be a strobe, and one will be my beam light, where I'm using it to see where I'm going. A lot of tires and commuter tires have a reflective sidewall. That's another helpful visibility item for short day and winter riding. Just don't, if you're good at being visible in bad weather conditions and dark conditions, just like step that up a notch for the winter, because the drivers are even more they have their own visibility problems, and you need to do more to be seen. So I've taken to covering my bicycle, the frame and fenders itself, with the reflective dots, just to create as many reflective bright points on my bike as I can beyond my lights. So hydration and nutrition. You're burning more calories when you're winter riding to stay warm because you're riding on knobby tires, because you're riding on rough, potentially ice and snow covered surfaces. So you're working harder, and you are sweating within whatever you're wearing. So don't forget to hydrate and eat, especially if you're doing a longer winter ride. One of the things that I'd like to do in the winter, in the summer, I'll often just run a plain water bottle unless it's a really long ride. But in the winter, I'll just add salt and sugar, or you can use a sports drink mix or a sports drink pre-mixed. to lower the freezing temp of whatever's in your water bottle. And insulated or vacuum sealed, like vacuum insulated water bottles, are really helpful for having not just a block of ice. You if it's sub-freezing and you're out on a ride, your water bottle's getting buffeted by 20-mile-an-hour winds, it's going to freeze in 15 minutes if it's not insulated. So you can drop that freezing temp of the liquid and have an insulated bottle. You can also carry an extra bottle in your bag or in a backpack, and that'll keep it from freezing on you. Let's see. One of my winter biking tips is that I have a vacuum sealed thermos, and I'll put hot chocolate or coffee in it before I go out, and I'll throw that in my bag. And then when we stop for like a winter group ride, I've got hot coffee or hot chocolate in my bag, which is just a great way to stop. And technology. Rechargeable batteries have gotten really small, and there are both heated socks, heated gloves, heated insoles. My sister got a pair of heated tights at some point. She said they didn't last very long, so I don't know if I'd recommend those. And then your kind of the lower tech disposable insole warmers and hand warmers are options. I don't use the disposable stuff a lot, but it's sometimes a good idea to keep a pair of these in your bag as a just in case. If you predict that you didn't wear the right socks or you're finding it's colder than you expected. Batteries have a shorter runtime in the winter. They can. Some batteries are not as great at function in the winter, but a lot of these things are the thing is itself warming, so the battery's not actually cold. Any of these things that are close to your body, the batteries are going to be around your body temperature or near your, between the outside and body temperature. The next thing I'm going to say is don't put your phone out on your handlebars if you want the battery to last long. So if you put your phone out there in the sub-freezing temps, it's getting like a 20-mile-an-hour wind on it, and your phone may last a lot shorter than you've expected. So if you're able to, I often just throw the phone like in my shirt pocket within my jacket, and if I've got navigation running, I can still hear it tell me when I need to turn left or turn right, and I've playing music on it, I can still hear it. So I don't put it out there on my handlebars in sub-freezing temps just because it does impact the battery life. So, and I see the reusable hand warmers. Yeah, so there are like microwavable hand warmers and other things that you can use that are reusable and not disposable. I think I do find that those have a shorter warmth length than the chemical warmers, but you aren't just, wastefully throwing things away. Something to keep in mind is batteries do not like being charged in sub-freezing temperatures. So do your charging somewhere that's above freezing, be it your garage. Don't do it out on your porch where it's 5 degrees. You may be damaging your battery while you're charging it. So these are some winter don'ts. Don't spray your bike down with water at the end of your day, unless you can dry it all the way out, including anything that got into your cables. Water that gets into your cables, be it a shifter cable or a brake cable, or even into the mechanisms of your derailleur, when that freezes, it locks it up. So you might not even notice that it's in your cable until you get 2 miles down the road and you squeeze your brakes and everything is locked up, like your brakes aren't functioning at all. So it's not a great practice to spray your bike down with water in the winter. Have a brush, knock off any big chunks of stuff. Don't spray your bike down with water in the winter, unless you can dry it all the way out. The other thing is don't forget to check the weather forecast. Temps change quickly. Temps in the evening, if you're riding into work in the morning, the temps in the evening may be 20 to 30 degrees different than the beginning. That is just keep an eye on the weather when you're planning your ride or planning your commutes for the day. We talked about not putting your phone out in freezing weather and freezing temps. Lubricate your bike lock. It's no fun to go out after your work day or after you get out of a movie or you're done at a restaurant and find that your U-lock, which is really good at staying locked, is solidly frozen. So drip lightweight chain lube or lightweight oil into the lock core, into where you insert the key, and into the other moving parts of your lock. So like do a little lubrication on your lock at least once a month. So you don't have a lock that freezes. If you end up with like a rainy morning and then it freezes that afternoon, if you've already got lubrication in that lock, it's not going to lock solid. So do remember to lubricate your lock. And slow down when you're winter riding. Full speed turns are not ideal in the winter. Winter ice and slippery spots are going to surprise you, especially in the morning where you have the melt and refreeze. Black ice hidden in shadows under trees and bridges can sneak up on you. You won't even know it's there until you're sliding on the ground. So take those turns slower. Any questions on what we've done so far? Because then I'm going to talk about upcoming rides. I've got a good note in here that says if you're using phone apps, mittens and winter gloves can be more difficult to use if you're trying to use your electronics. That is true. Bar mitts or pogies, that's the handlebar covers allow you to use thinner gloves or no gloves, so you can actually still use some electronics and function that way. My backup for electronics is I just keep those thin gloves inside my mittens, and the thin gloves are phone friendly. So, and then how do you use a mirror if you're a mirror user in the winter? Doing pogies or bar mitts may interfere with where you've got your mirror placed. I'm a helmet mirror person, so that can be a little bit tough with some of the like head coverings and making sure that view's clear. But moving to a different mirror might be something you do in the winter. All right. And I see there's some rechargeable battery powered hand warmers. Yep. And there are also warming, like battery powered gloves that I know a few friends that use, that have some warming coils and a rechargeable battery inside of them. All right. So we've been doing winter rides. We started doing these last winter and we continued them this winter. And we'll be running these on Saturdays through the end of February. So they start at 11 a.m. Right outside BGI Downtown's location on Roosevelt Avenue. They're 12 to 18 miles. We've actually gone to closer to 10 miles on some super frigid days. They're a slow social pace. We usually have a food stop in the middle or at the end, and there is a waiver required. I can put that into the chat, or if Connie or Tess want to drop that waiver link into the chat. That is both our waiver and our RSVP. So anybody that does the winter ride, we send out a reminder email on Friday with a weather update and letting folks know what route we're planning to do. So this Saturday will be fun because most everything is melted. So we can go back and do some things that we haven't been able to do. So that ride has had as few as 2 people. I went out one Saturday and we had Matt Sinsko joined me, the Royal Us, and we rode, I think it was 7 degrees out with a pretty significant wind. So we rode down to Fountain Square and back. But it is when the weather is in the upper 20s and 30s and 40s, we get 15 to 20 people on that ride. All right, Tess, thank you for posting the February newsletter that's got the link for the winter rides. And we're also on the February 21st. We're actually combining the Saturday winter rides with the Polar Pedal. This is a mayor's ride by the city of Indianapolis. And this is 10 a.m. start from Riverside Adventure Park, and it is a 10-mile round trip. And they have a separate waiver for that one from the city of Indianapolis. So two opportunities for winter rides. If you're out in the Vandalia Trail area on the west side, there's a Vandalia Trail brisk ride actually also on the February 21st, if you don't want to come all the way into the Polar Pedal. And I will wrap it up here with Q&A or anybody else that wants to chime in with winter riding experience or a best practice they have. So you can raise your hand, you can unmute, or put something in the chat. We got a couple minutes here to talk. All right, and I'm looking in the chat. And let's see, is anybody in here entirely new to winter riding or just getting started? That'll be my question to you. And my follow-up question is there anybody in the group that's, oh, I've got Emily said that pretty new on their own bike. So that one is, and Emily, if you can think of any questions or challenges you've had, I'd love to hear about them from you if you didn't mind unmuting.
Yeah, it might be a little noisy here, but something I've struggled with at times is knowing what's safe to ride on, like should I avoid slush or, you know, trying to find those safe spaces to ride. Obviously, it's been a lot better this year with plowing in different areas, but trying to navigate in that sense has been a little challenging for me.
Yeah, I'd say slush is um, uh, not as exciting as ice. So slush kind of acts more like as a riding surface, like you're riding on something that's a little bit muddy, right? So there is some loss of traction, so you'll be taking turns slower and avoiding the biggest slush piles, right? Because some of those might still have a frozen core that would make you want to stop unexpectedly. But if you're in that like mid 30s, low 40s, and things are just slushy, you're usually in having a better riding surface than if you are on ice or you've got that morning refreeze where the slush is not slush anymore and it's frozen solid, and the things that were running along the surface as water froze overnight. And slush can hide an icy surface below. That is true. So there are a multitude of winter under wheel conditions. And I on slushy days, I'll often not ride my studded tire bike, but I'm still careful when I do ride through a slushy area, especially if it's on a turn or anywhere near a place where I need to stop. So I'm looking, any other thoughts or questions? I see a couple folks saying they're new to winter riding. I see one question about the Saturday morning rides. The social speed is, it varies on the group. So if we have a faster group, we may be going 12 to 14 miles an hour. If we have a larger group, we're typically going slower because we're staying with the slowest riders. And it could be, 9 to 10 miles per hour as the average. And we do group back up. If we get separated on a trail, we stop periodically so that the group can rejoin.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that response. I think that's very encouraging. I thought the social speed might be much faster than I've been doing.
Yeah, our social speed rides are whatever the slowest rider's going. So and that isn't these rides have been intentionally good for beginners. How much winter clothing, technical clothing to use versus just outdoor layers. I'm not a huge wearer of technical clothing. Like I do wear wool socks. And I've got I'm not wearing aerodynamic clothing in the winter. Aerodynamic clothing, you don't really get an air buffer layer. So when you wear things that are tight to your skin, the only air buffer is whatever is that material. So baggier clothing is actually a little bit warmer because it creates an air barrier between the layers. So I don't wear a lot of tight technical clothing. I sometimes do wear like a technical underlayer with a standard jacket, or some like some long johns under a pair of jeans, or some not super technical but normal pants. And there's a little bit of technical clothing, but I don't try to be aerodynamic in the winter if I'm trying to be warm. Warmth and aerodynamics are not necessarily the same thing. So got the balaclava or scarf helps. Yep. Let's see. And finding that the Parks Department in the northern suburbs does a great job of keeping the trails clear. I agree. I think there's been some great trail clearing, both in Indy and in some of the northern Hamilton County suburbs. I just rode up on 106th Street bike lane the other day, and there were only a few sections that were still slushy. All right. And riding all winter, but not for commuting. Don't ride below 30F. And so having a lower limit does cause you to lose some riding days for outdoor riding. I find, kind of my, I don't have to get super technical until it's, low 20s. Like mid 20s and above, I can wear pretty normal riding clothes and normal, layering that I would wear. So everybody has their comfort limit. And below 30, you do have to be careful of ice. So walking to work is a good alternate if you've got a short commute. But as you probably have noticed, the shoveling of sidewalks is not consistent in the city of Indianapolis. If you have sidewalks, they're supposed to be shoveled by the next day by city ordinance. There's not much enforcement of that ordinance, but you can report notorious and repeat unshoveled sidewalks to the Mayor's Action Center by calling their number. Eventually, that will be hopefully something you can do electronically with the online tool. But right now, you have to call the Mayor's Action Center in Indy to report that. Most municipalities do have a sidewalk clearing ordinance. It's just whether or not they enforce it. A breathable vented jacket is the most important for Pete's winter gear. Agreed. And that you do sweat within your clothes, especially once your core temp goes up. So if you are able to open some vent zippers, that can be helpful, both to moderate temperature and make sure that you're not just creating a sweaty sauna inside your jacket. Awesome. Great questions, everybody here. And if you didn't know, the Central Indiana Cycling and previous work by Bike Indianapolis and other advocates like the Cycle Commuter Task Force and Connie with BGI were responsible for pushing the city of Indianapolis to include major greenways in their plowing plan for this winter. So that has been has been robust. It took them a little while to get this big snow plowed, but they did get most of the major corridors plowed at this point. About a week after the snowstorm, they had to come back for second runs on those trails. And there are some cycle tracks, street level cycle tracks that are included in the plowing plan, like the Michigan and New York Street side paths and cycle tracks, and the like Illinois Street street level cycle track. Those are included in their plowing plan. So we've got some additional advocacy work there that we see the need to improve this city's response and enforcement of sidewalk shoveling, because that's a significant safety issue for people who are walking and getting to bus stops. A lot of bike commuters use the walk to bus stops in the winter. So this is our community that is impacted when sidewalks aren't shoveled and the sidewalk ordinance is not enforced. Pogues Run Trail. I don't think it was included this year. We noted that one to DPW. The way that that gets highlighted, making Mayor's Action Center requests is helpful in spiking out where people have a need for certain corridors to be plowed. I don't know why that one wasn't on their list yet this year. So, but it did seem to be one of the ones that did not get plowed. So, all right. Thank you. We did recently join Blue Sky as Twitter as a platform for communication degraded. So we've been involved in both Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky for posting. It's hard to, as a small organization, to handle multiple social media platforms, but we felt that Blue Sky was a better communications platform and had higher quality conversations than Twitter. All right. All right. So good. I see that there's some reporting using the Mayor's Action Center in Indy to report things. Tess, is it possible to grab the phone number or the link to the Mayor's Action Center and drop that in the chat? That is the way. Using the phone number is the way to report like big snow piles on a greenway, unshoveled sidewalks, and other safety issues, or trees down on a greenway. That's all Mayor's Action Center for the Marion County and City of Indy. Yep, they did purchase trail-sized equipment in Indy recently, and they're using that sometimes, not all the time. So that was purchased in the last year or two. In addition to some Kubotas that they already had, they added some more smaller greenway-sized plowing equipment with different. Some of them have brushes, some of them have plows. So. And any other questions or thoughts? Oh, there, Tess put the Mayor's Action Center number in the chat. Put that in your phone as Mayor's Action Center. And when you have an issue, you can call that during their office hours and report issues. They generally are going to ask you for the nearest street address or intersection. So that's one way that we can keep pushing, because that actually gets used. The being a squeaky wheel is a good way to get results. I do want to remind folks, when you do call the Mayor's Action Center, be nice to them and say thank you for what they're doing. The folks that are taking these complaints in Marion County and City of Indy, like, they hear from angry people all day. And they're trying to get the requests handled, but they're not actually the ones doing it. So please do be friendly when you do call in something to the Mayor's Action Center. And that is within Indy and Marion County. Beyond, like in the outside Indy suburban municipalities, you would call your local, leadership, like your counselor or selectman, to ask them what the procedure is for those types of issues in your municipality. Okay. And I think we're wrapping up. It's awesome for you to join. I'm excited to meet other folks. You can always join Central Indiana Cycling as a member if you're not yet. I'll have Tess drop the membership link in the chat. We'd love for you to be a supporting member of Central Indiana Cycling and the rides that we organize and the work that we're doing. We're busy in the planning phase for the spring rides, celebration rides for new trails that open. We were just talking about the 96th Street Bridge opening soon, and other Greater Indy Trailways celebrations and May Bike Month, which is coming up faster than we expected. So thank you for joining. And these will be posted to the slides, and the presentation will be posted online through the Lunch and Learn page that Connie will send out to folks that have registered. And anything else, Connie, before we close out?
I just wanted to mention that we have 2 new organizations that have joined our Cycle Commuter Task Force. And this is our first program with them. One is the Pacers bikeshare, and the other is Health by Design. So we're happy to have them on board, and they'll be helping with some of the future programs. We also will have active transportation meetups. I think the first one is starting in April, so check for those as well. And I'll drop in the chat the page where you can go and register for any or find other additional information about our upcoming programs.
Awesome. Thanks, Connie, and feel better. And any final questions before we close things out? I know Connie's going to drop one more link into the chat, and Tess has the link in there for the Central Indiana Cycling membership. Any final questions? All right. Well, ride safe and enjoy your winter riding, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
See you all later.
Thanks.